That's going. We are live. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the feed. None of this will be on the air, but we are joined by Ryan Smith tonight. I'm pretty excited about this one. I got to say, I've been trying to get a chef on this show for like over a year now, so I'm like really excited about this tonight. All right. Let's get this show going. Here we go.
This is Shannon Westfall from Binfluence Boutique Wine Club, and you're listening to We Like Drinking, where you never drink alone.
At the sound of the tone, the official We Like Drinking time will be 5 o'clock. Commence consumption.
Thank you for joining us for the award-winning We Like Drinking podcast, episode 178. In this episode, we'll be discussing dry farming the natural way, and we hope you brought your forks and your sabers for this week's episode because you're going to need them. So crack open your beer, uncork that wine, and let's get drinking! All pumped up and ready to go, and it's like 90 degrees in my house. I need some drink. I need some drinks up in here. All right, listeners, welcome to episode 178 of the We Like Drinking podcast. I am excited about this one tonight. I have been hoping to get our type of guest tonight for over a year, and we've got an awesome guest that I'm super excited about and super excited to ask a whole lot of questions to. So let's get to it right away. But first, John.
Let's get to it right away, but first,
John Ruya, because I always forget about this part because it's Solomon's bit. But what do we like to tell our listeners to do before we get the show really started?
So, you're walking down the street and you're walking your dog and you got your phone and you're listening to the podcast. Before you go any further, hop on over to Apple Podcasts, otherwise known as iTunes, and please give us a review. 5 stars, hopefully. Yeah, 5. Do that.
Yeah, 5 stars. Let us know what you think about the show. Let us know what you think about the We Like Drinking podcast. The podcast that reminds people that drinking beer and wine is supposed to be fun, people. And that even through the laughs, you can still learn about your favorite beverages. So without further ado, let's get into it. We are joined by our beer brewer, John Ruyek, and I am your host, Jeff Eccles. Jeff Solomon, stuck in traffic, because he lives in California. So he'll join us later, maybe. But we're going to get right to it with our guest this week, who spent over 8 years immersed in the New York food and wine scene, most notably as the executive chef and head wine educator of New York Vintners, where he taught hundreds of wine classes and collaborated with some of the world's best winemakers, as well as artists, actors, and musicians to create what he calls alternative dining experience. In October of 2016, up and moved to London for a 16-month residency, using it as a staging ground to travel Europe, stoke his creative flames, and do what he loves most, curate epic experiences around food and wine. Now back in New York, he has started his own business, forkandsaber.com, focusing on special events as well as restaurant and private wine consulting. He holds a level 3 advanced certificate from the Wine and Spirit Education Trust and is currently pursuing level 4 diploma. Please help us welcome Chef Ryan Smith. Welcome to the show, Chef.
How's it going, guys?
It's going great.
I totally spaced it. I was reading the notes and looking at the website and getting prepared for the show. I should have been wearing my blue and gold Sabres jersey. I grew up in Buffalo, New York, so I'm a big Sabres fan, even though they sucked the last couple of years. I should have worn my jersey for the show.
That's awesome. I'm actually from upstate New York, not as far west, but kind of like north of Albany.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. So before we get into the rest of the show, let's find out what everybody's drinking. John, what is in your glass?
I don't have anything in my glass until now, but I am pouring Elephants on Parade. This is brewed by Bosky Brewing here. It's a award-winning brewery here in Albuquerque, and this is their fruited wheat ale. And they change the fruit that they put into this on a yearly basis. So someone told me what it was, and they said it was really good, but I don't remember what they told me. So I'm going to taste it now.
We're always so prepared for everything that happens on this show.
I'm going with watermelon. Yeah, it's watermelon. So it's a watermelon wheat ale from Bosky Brewing.
Interesting.
It's good.
Summertime.
It's good. Yep. They're a good brewery. Fun place to go. Brew good beers.
Excellent. So, Chef Ryan.
Yeah, I have 2005 Lopez Heredia, Vino Basconia, Rioja.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
There it is.
Yeah.
What? I'm sorry. What year did you say it was?
2005, which I think is their current release.
Okay, excellent. So is that a Grand Reserva?
So Lopez Heredia, family-owned winery since 1877 in Rioja Alta, and they hold all their wines back for a really long time before they release them. So it's 2005 is their current release for this Basconia vineyard site. They do a couple different reds. The most famous is their Tardonia, which is a more, it's in the Bordeaux-shaped bottle.
Okay.
The Basconia is more like Burgundian influenced, so it's in the kind of Pinot Noir-shaped Burgundy bottle.
Okay. All right. Very cool.
It's like a earthy kind of funk bomb.
Nice. I like the funk bombs. I couldn't decide tonight whether to go with wine or beer, so I just took the best of both worlds, and I've got this Dogfish Head mixed media. This is a Vino-esque ale, so it's an ale that's brewed with grape must in it. I believe it's a Sauvignon Blanc that it brews with it. It's like a beer. I really don't get any of the wine notes, but it's a nice little ale. All right.
I'm a big Dogfish Head fan.
You're not a big Dogfish Head fan?
No, I am a big Dogfish Head fan. Yeah,
I like the stuff they do. I was shocked. This was like $18 for a 6-pack or something like that. I was like,
Woo!
yeah.
That's up there with like Cascade Sours. The Cascade Brewery, they put a lot of wine in their sour ales. I've got a bottle with Pinot Noir must in it sitting in my kitchen
nice
refrigerator.
All right.
It's interesting.
Oh, go ahead, Ryan.
No, I was going to say it's interesting when they can kind of straddle both worlds. It's got like, the kind of approachability of beer, but they're bringing some kind of the complexity of wine.
Yeah, it's. I was just reading an article this week that talks about how you're seeing a lot more of them that are experimenting. Because you see a lot of the stouts with the barrel age and the oak age stuff, and you're starting to see either. What did I see the other day? I had a whiskey that was aged in port barrels. So you're seeing, I think, a lot of this crossover kind of stuff of how can we use each other's products to elevate our own. So
I saw something interesting. Forgot which brewery it was, but they're actually using like Brettanomyces, which is a negative fault in wine. It kind of makes it taste like Band-Aids, but in beer could be a kind of cool note.
Yeah, it's even I've noticed on the beer side, it's the same love-hate relationship that it has on the wine side. It's like either, because if there's just a touch of it on the wine, it can add note, but it can easily go too far. And it's the same thing on the beer side. It's easy to go too much with the Brett. Do you think, John?
I am not a Brett fan whatsoever. I mean, I am a newly minted grandfather, and I'm going to be going to visit my grandson. Well, visit my son and my daughter-in-law and my new grandson. I am going to change plenty of poopy diapers when I'm in Oregon. I don't need to drink it out of a glass.
Don't hold back, Riak. All right. Well, welcome to the show, Ryan. We're really happy you could join us tonight. We're going to take a quick break here. to educate the masses a little bit, as much as we can, with a little bit we call Grape Hop or Pop Culture Reference. So this is where I give these guys a term, and they try to tell me if it's a wine grape, a beer hop, or some kind of pop culture reference. The term this week is Forastera. So is Forastera a wine grape, a beer hop, or a pop culture reference? John, you're going to have to lead it out.
Okay, so you know what I'm going to ask? Can you
Yes.
spell it for us, Jeff?
Forastera. Forastera.
Are there any umlauts?
There are no umlauts in it.
Any funky C's with the squiggle on the bottom? No?
There's not
All
even
right.
in it.
All right, Forastera. Boy, that's a tough one. I'm gonna, should I go with the Solomon line of thinking relative to our guests, thinking that this is a level 3 person going for their level 4 diploma, so it's got to be a grape, but Eccles is going to throw a curveball. So I'm thinking it's a pop culture reference because you're just trying to screw us all up, and I have no idea what it is other than something you found on the Twitters sometime today.
So, Ryan, whenever John has no idea, he just punts and says pop culture reference. So don't necessarily think.
I won't let it sway. I won't let it sway my opinion.
All right, Chef Ryan, Forastera.
I don't know. It sounds like some kind of venereal disease. Is that an option?
That's a pop culture reference.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I might go with it. Is it like something that Kim Kardashian just got from Trump at the White House? I don't know if it's... I don't know. It could be... I mean, it sounds kind of... I don't know. Maybe it's some kind of ancient Roman grape that they used to brew with some kind of hallucinogenic herb. I don't know. I'm reaching. I guess if you went pop culture, I've got to go grape.
All right.
It sounds too Latin for hops.
Okay. All right. Excellent job, you guys. One of you is correct, and thankfully it is our guest, Chef. Forastera is a wine grape. Wait for it. It is a white Italian wine.
Oh,
He's gotten two of them right. Variety is grown on the islands of Ischia and Procida off the coast of Naples and Campania. So usually I give it away with my accent when I say the word. So I was trying to be very non-Italian when I said Forastera.
I actually just got back from there.
From Italy, yeah?
Yeah, from Campania.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, I was there for 2 weeks.
Oh, that sucks.
I know, dude. Living it up. Yeah.
All right, hold on. Let me write that down for a question to ask. All right, well done, Chef Ryan. You got it right. John got it wrong. Always happens.
Let it be known.
Let it be known throughout the ages. All right, so let's do this.
Me being wrong is not news.
True. That is not news. Oh, we can't even start booze news. We need Solomon.
Well, we got other stuff to talk about anyway.
We got a few minutes. He's home. He's just getting his drinks, so he should be.
Oh, he's taking care of other things too. He's been in the car for an hour. and he ate a hot dog at the ballpark. So
Chili
we all
dog.
know what Solomon's doing.
Yeah, chili dog, no less. So we'll give him a minute or two here to join. More editing for me.
More editing for you? Okay.
So yeah, Ryan, like once we get the show out, I'll try to get it edited tonight, get it posted, and then I'll get you links by email by the
Cool.
late tomorrow. And then we drop the show. Basically, it'll be Friday at 1 a.m. your time.
Awesome.
So just Friday morning. Feel free to share it however you want. I don't know. You're not. What are you on your phone? At 9 p.m., my phone, my laptop goes into sleepy mode. So
Okay.
it takes it's got this setting on it where you can remove the blue light from the screen.
Got it.
So it gets super amber, and there's like no warning. Like I'm sitting and talk to you, and all of a sudden everything just like changes, and it all looks like faded and sepia. What is it? Sepia? With the picture.
I've got all of the like Philips Hue lights in my house, and I should theoretically be able to do that, but I can't figure it out.
Tell him to hurry up. So where are you off to next? You got any travel plans coming up?
I just got back I was in South Africa for like 15 days, and then I came home for a week, and then just went to Italy for like 15 days. And now I've gotten word from my wife that I need to work. So I'm going to be posted in New York for the next month or two, maybe some upstate weekends or something like that. But I've just been, trying to focus now on really getting the Fork and Saber thing going, lining up events, because all that stuff kind of snowballs. So,
Right.
Teach some wine classes, meet some people, sell those people on events, do some events, meet some more people, sell them on wine. I'm lobbying for kind of a long trip to Australia for New Year's, but I haven't really filled anything in between.
Cool. You've done more traveling this year than I've done in the last 7.
I've been super lucky, especially as a New York kind of wine guy. I think that so many people in the New York wine scene, because of where New York is located, don't ever get to travel to wine country. So I thought kind of move to London, get as much of that under my belt as I can, and then come back, and then hopefully have some kind of a leg up.
Yeah. And it seems like, is this accurate or not? Like a lot of the New York people in the wine scene that do travel, they almost seem to go more Europe than like California.
It's just as close.
Right.
Yeah. 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 I mean, you can fly. I just flew to Rome in like 8 hours. So maybe even less. Yeah, man, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, if you're working in the New York, especially if you're in the restaurant scene, your schedule is so hellish anyway. It's like you can only really travel once a year, even if you wanted to. So, I mean, that was the major thing for me why, kind of 8 years ago or 9 years ago now, I said I wanted to just get out of the regular restaurant scene, and why I did a bit more of like an events focused job. Just a lot more predictable all around, and like much more kind of predictable quality of life and stuff like that.
Okay. And that's important.
Is he at least turning on his computer?
I'm going to need to find a second bottle of wine or whiskey. That's usually where it goes.
There we go. All right. Where were we at? We'll just move on. I was hoping he'd be here for this, but F it, we can't keep you up all night. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We've just finished that. And so now we're going to go, okay, everybody, we're just going to laugh for no reason.
All right.
Yep.
Awesome.
So great job, Ryan. So I wanted to get into some of the interview with you now. So, great intro. We really talked about a lot of the stuff that you've done. So I wanted to key in on some of that stuff. So you spent 8 years in the New York food and wine scene. Was that primarily as a chef, or were you primarily on the wine side of the house?
Yeah, so I moved to New York from DC actually in 2008, which was like not a good time to be trying to find a job in New York. And I managed to get a job at a steakhouse on the Upper West Side. And it was like 25-year-old Ryan, first full-on executive chef job. And managed to change the steakhouse over to more of a farm-to-table kind of neighborhoody concept. Brought down the expensive wine list to 25 wines by the glass. Brought in some really cool Belgian beers. I had a lot of beer experience in DC before I got into the wine scene. And after a few years there, the owner, who his dad was literally a billionaire, kind of got given the restaurant for his 25th birthday, ran into the ground for a few years. I took over, managed to eke it back up. And one day I came into work and he said, I got my girlfriend pregnant and I'm going to move to LA. So I was like, yeah. So I was a bit, after 2 years of 6-day weeks and doing the chef thing and going every day and eking it out, I got to the point where I said, I'm never going to throw myself into something I don't own again, because somebody else can just decide to take it away from you or do whatever they want with it. At the end of the day, it's their business. So I started applying for different types of jobs. And one of the jobs I applied to was to a place called New York Vintners, which was a retail wine store that had a small private event space in the back. And at the time they were doing 6 different wine classes and 2 or 3 private events a week. And kind of over the course of the next 7 years, developed literally hundreds of classes, got to the point where we were doing maybe 15 to 20 wine classes a week and another 12 private events a week. Ended up building out the basement into a wine cellar kind of event space, chef's table thing. So yeah, prior to New York Vintners, I had really no wine knowledge. Most chefs don't know anything about wine other than what they kind of sneak in the kitchen, like cooking sherry or box wine when no one's looking, whatever feeds the alcoholism there. Right. I knew I like Pinot Noir or basic kind of wine knowledge. And when I took over as the chef at this place, because so much of the business was teaching wine classes, the owner said, oh, by the way, you're going to have to teach some wine classes. And, you can imagine me teaching wine classes with no wine knowledge, but I was always kind of like the fake it till you make it guy. And, just over the years, learning from my fellow colleagues who were wine professionals, a lot of what we did was winemaker dinners. So we'd have winemakers come from all over the world. I'd collaborate with them to create menus that really showcase their wines. And, I just really grew an appreciation for wine and slowly learned. And, that's how we got here.
Very cool. So you mentioned something earlier about craft beer, and it's something I'm really interested in is over the last, say, 10 to 15 years as a chef, as a restaurateur, how have you seen the menu change as craft beer has exploded, and wine is doing well as well, and spirits are on doing well as well? How has it affected the restaurant industry that you've been a part of?
Yeah, it's been really interesting to see. Prior to moving to New York, I was in DC, and when I was in culinary school, I actually helped open up a restaurant called The Reef, which was in Adams Morgan. And the owner of The Reef was this guy, Brian Harrison, who's, kind of the bartender's bartender. Totally the man, DC legend, as The Reef was. This was, say 2002. He had 14 beers on tap that he changed every 2 weeks. He had a blowback system. The only beer that we kept the same was Allagash White, because we were tied in pretty closely with the brewmaster at the time was Rob Todd. And 2003, 2004, we were doing beer maker dinners, just like now I'm kind of doing winemaker dinners, collaborating with primarily Allagash Brewery and also Dogfish Head back in the day, when they were a lot smaller. They would do different releases. They would throw the release parties at our place. I'd create a cool menu to kind of showcase the beers. But I think all of that was really kind of ahead of its time.
Yeah.
And, I think now, so if I look at myself as a chef, right, and kind of growing up cooking before there was a Food Network, and then kind of the Food Network coming along, and making chefs kind of like the cool thing, I think that the past 2 or 3 years, chefs have started to take a backseat to beverage professionals. And I think now the very in thing is to be a sommelier or to be a beverage director. I don't know if it's just because of the segment of the industry I'm involved with, but I feel like that's kind of the direction it's going, and people are paying a lot more attention to what it is they're drinking. And I think that's backed up by the fact that places like InBev and Budweiser are trying to create these kind of fake niche brands, or it's just been really interesting to kind of see it come full circle, if that makes sense. I think now the sommelier is just as important, and the guest wants to know who that person is. And I think that even smaller restaurants that would have never had the budget to have a sommelier, and maybe there was the head bartender who was really passionate about the drinks on the list, and that was the knowledgeable person, but the guest never really would have known that. I think now the restaurant is really putting that person forward and making them a little bit more front facing to the guest, and highlighting that as, these things on the list aren't just picked because they fit a certain price point, but because we actually want to curate this experience for our guest.
Nice. John, any questions?
Well, I've got a couple, but it seems to me like, beverages and not just wine's always been, an experiential thing, but beer becoming as this experiential thing where it's not just something that interrupts and cleanses your palates. It's part of the whole flavor experience of that particular meal. Have you? One of the things that I find frustrating about beer is sometimes it just doesn't pair very well with food. The maltiness tends to overshadow many things. But I think the advent of more acidic beers, sours, and things of that nature kind of lends itself more to pairing with foods. Is that the way you kind of see things now?
Yeah, from kind of more of a classic perspective, right? You have the kind of two theories of pairing. You have pairing by complement, right? Like flavors in the beverage go with like flavors in the dish, and that idea of pairing by contrast, right? Things like fatty meat and the acidity in wine, or the acidity in a goose or something like that, kind of the acid cutting through the fat. Historically, when you look at cultures that pair beer with food, I think they tend to be cultures that eat a lot of different flavors together at once. And I think the beer is a bit more of like a harmonious thing on the table that doesn't necessarily rock the boat too much and kind of goes with everything, right? So if you look at Indian food, the best part of Indian food is getting like 10 different dishes and just mixing them all together on your plate and experiencing all the different flavors. Or historically Chinese cuisine, you get the big round thing in the middle of the table and you spin it around and you get all the different flavors. And those are cultures where beer or spirits have really kind of dominated the pairing scene. And it's much harder to pair wine with those cuisines. You have to be a little bit more thoughtful about it. But I think you can pair beer with kind of higher end cuisines in this more classic wine style, acid from the beer with fat from the food. Or, if you have beer brewed like the one you're drinking with watermelon, right? And pairing that with something like barbecue, where the idea of in the summertime, watermelon on the table with barbecue ribs, kind of everything gets along.
Excellent.
Well, okay, so I want to just go back to your chef thing, and the fact that I'm actually talking to a chef is, I've always wanted to ask this question, and I wonder how you feel about it. A lot of these shows that are on TV lately, everybody is calling each other chef, even though it's just some guy that was like cooking out of his house, and he's all of a sudden on a TV show, and they're calling him chef. Does that bother you? It would bother me because that's something. Because when I was the head brewer at a brewery that I'm not at anymore, people would call me he's the master brewer. I said, well, no, wait a minute. I haven't earned that title yet. That's something that is down the road for me. So I think, do you feel people are using that honorific somewhat loosely or too much these days?
I mean, for me, again, as I said before, I was always kind of the fake it till you make it guy, right? So my stance has always been, you're a chef the minute somebody calls you one, right? There's no kind of tipping point other than when you are the chef of a restaurant. You know, I think if you are the chef of a restaurant, or if you own your own business and you're the chef of that, like, you know, go ahead and call yourself a chef.
Okay. But there was one other question I had, and it's about your math.
Yeah.
So there's something you said where sweet plus sour times fat equals yum. So is that sweet plus sour and multiply that all by fat? Or was that sweet plus sour times fat? So where's the parentheses on that?
Yeah. So I think, right, you can have sweet and sour as much as you want, but you have to have twice as much fat in order for that to work, right?
Okay.
If it's like when you're making lemonade, right? You could have sour, but you have to have kind of you could have sugar, but you kind of have to have twice as much sour for that sugar to be good, right?
Okay. All right, I get it.
Okay. Hey, Jeff Solomon.
Hey, I have a question.
Get in here, baby.
Yeah, are we recording right now?
We are.
Ryan, pleased to meet you, Your Excellency.
That's Chef Ryan.
Yes.
Sorry, Chef Ryan. Your Honor. I gotta tell you, jumping in halfway, a quarter of the way, 90 minutes into a conversation is, I think, the best way to get to know somebody. Let me ask you this. New York diners, I'm talking about the person going to eat, compared to those in London.
Ooh,
Oh, God.
good question.
What differences do you see?
Give us the scoop.
All right, man. I don't want to trigger anybody.
You picked the wrong show.
Yeah. So it was really interesting as somebody who's worked in New York for a long time to go to London, right? You think that you're going to move to London as American, and you're like, whatever. They're 6 hours away by plane. We speak the same language. You might as well be in Japan. It is culturally, it is completely different. I think as an American, just in general, once they hear the American accent, as much as once we hear the British accent, we already attribute them 20 IQ points. I think it's the inverse, right? I mean, especially as an American attempting to teach people from London in a wine class setting.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, can you imagine that, right? Like literally people who have no idea about wine, have never been to a wine class before, are now kind of like, ooh, you presume to tell me about wine. It's really interesting. So in London, food is pretty cheap. Even high-end dining experiences, which I came to learn, In New York, if I'm doing an event or like a cool dinner or something, it kind of started at $150 plus tax and gratuity for kind of a 3-course menu paired with wine, and then you work your way up if you want extra courses or supplements or whatever. But in London, you can go to the Clove Club, which is like the number one restaurant in England, for like £130. So it's just generally like food is cheaper there, and they have the saying like value for money. So even if people have money, they're very like apprehensive on spending it. So I was coming to the point where I was using different media platforms to sell tickets to my events. Certain websites you'd partner with, and they do a split on the ticket or whatever. And I'd say, oh yeah, I want to do a 4-course dinner. I want to do the apocalypse or some kind of crazy thing with like Iberian pork and 7 flights to Rioja, and I want to charge £150. And they're like, oh well, why don't you just charge £60 and give less good wine? That's literally like the and when the food scene there, I mean, there are some very nice restaurants, obviously, but just in general, it's kind of like it probably was in New York 20 years ago, where 5 or 8 years ago, they just got burgers, like cool burger places with like different toppings and funky things, and now there's one on like every corner. And just a year and a half ago, they got tacos. So yeah, and it's very because rent there is very high. There's a lot of chains, so everybody kind of eats at like Pret Manger or some kind of a chain sushi place. This is like every third storefront is one of these places, and it's just really interesting coming from New York into a scene like that, where there's a lot of talent, obviously, in London, and there's a lot of talented chefs, but I think that they're a bit constrained by the scene, which I don't think is quite ready for it yet.
So, I mean, I always attributed like the restaurant culture in New York City to be like, that is, besides Paris, probably it is the city for restaurant culture on the planet.
Yeah, totally.
So London's probably, just like you said, it's like 5 or 8 years behind the curve on that. And and I think it's getting better because the city's become much more cosmopolitan.
Yeah.
London has in the last 15 years. So all these different cultures are just like demanding something better than beef and potatoes.
Yeah. I mean, Indian food, like literally the best in the world. Like they do that very well.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So, and Chef, we could literally talk to you about food and beer and wine like the entire night, but I'm sure you would like to talk about this little thing called Fork and Saber.
Yes.
So explain to us what Fork and Saber is and what your new venture is out there in the east, on the East Coast.
Yeah. So, when I was a chef at New York Vintners, what I did very well was create just a little bit something different, right? Like the idea of people going out to a restaurant and ordering food is cool, but I think that when people go out, they want food, but they also want a bit of entertainment. So I've spent a lot of time curating these kind of cool experiences. One event I did 8 or 9 different times was to get 100-pound tuna. I'd have it like flown in from the Hawaiian fish auction into JFK. Tuna would come in. I'd get a live band, and we'd hang the tuna from the ceiling. We'd have between 80 and 90 people, and everyone would kind of gather around, had an open bar with kind of sparkling wine, sake, tuna-friendly beverages, and then do some hors d'oeuvres. After about 45 minutes. We'd cut the tuna down from the ceiling and kind of ceremoniously bring it over. The band would usually play the Jaws theme song. And then I'd spend the entire night breaking this giant fish down into sushi a million ways. Sashimi, different dishes. The first thing I would do is cut the head off and throw it in the oven. And then we would pull it out at the end for dessert. So it would roast for 2 or 3 hours. Usually people would fight over the only 2 eyes left in the thing. But just events like that are a bit more experiential.
Yeah.
So when I moved to London, coming out of my element and going over there, I took with me the idea that I wanted to teach wine classes. I wanted to give people wine education because I feel like when people go to an event and they can come away with a bit of knowledge that they didn't have before, that adds to the experience. I wanted to create these kind of out-of-the-box experiential events. And, I did that for 16 months over there while I was traveling, and then just came back to New York in January. And because I had this cool following of people from when I was at New York Vintners, I've been able to focus on doing wine classes, cool pop-up dinners, cool collaborations. There's a company I collaborate with called Savor Your Senses, where I team up with my friend Elaine Kwan, who is a concert pianist. She's a Taekwondo black belt. She's a doctorate in concert piano. She teaches at MIT. She's literally Wonder Woman. She can drink a fuckload of wine too. We'll get together and, I'll do a few courses of food paired with her concert piano. And then we might bring in different kind of sensory elements like, I might burn some dried wood from New Mexico while everybody's eyes are closed, while they're drinking some Beaujolais, while about to take a bite of sashimi, kind of bringing everything together. So that's kind of what Fork and Saber has been, these cool events, also wine education classes, and then also just private wine consulting, people that know they want to drink wine, don't necessarily want to or have the wherewithal to pick out the wine that they want to drink, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And, you kind of pitch it. All your friends have private wine consultants, why don't you have one? I could be that guy. So that's what I've been doing.
That's awesome. Wow. I can't wait for the Chef Ryan Smith escape the room experience.
I did something very similar to that. I called it Eat No More.
What was that?
So I had a 3-floored space. And when everybody walked in, I kind of did pipe and drape over the first floor. So everybody walked down to the middle floor. The middle floor, the theme was opulence. So I had 500 oysters on the half shell, raw bar guy, tons of caviar. I had this crazy trumpet guy. And so trumpet guy's playing with a 1920s kind of film reel going on behind him. And then I brought half the group downstairs to experience to the third floor to experience what I called decadence, right? So everybody walked downstairs. It's all candle lit. You're in this weird cellar. There's a hot chick with a silver platter with black gloves on it. So everybody puts on the black gloves. They don't know why. And then they're all standing down there. And I had a Broadway singer come out and sing this kind of creepy a cappella jazz song in everybody's face while beckoning them deeper into the cellar, kind of Cask of Amontillado shit. And when they got to the end of the cellar, I had another guy dressed in a chef's outfit with a soldering mask, kind of covered in faux blood. And he ripped the top off the table, and underneath was a giant suckling pig. And he just covered the whole thing in acacia honey and whacked it apart with a hatchet, and everybody ate it with their hands.
Wow.
And this all kind of happened while everybody's what the fuck is going on? And then, I brought everybody back up into the middle room, and then everybody switched. And then eventually brought everybody back up to the first floor where the pipe and drape was gone, and they had a 3-course dinner with kind of a live speakeasy type of band.
And they're all traumatized from
Yeah, totally. In a good way, though. Yeah.
I'm just, oh, wow. Wow. Ryan, I don't know if you know, I'm an idea man. And a lot of times, I like to take other people's ideas. And so I'm thinking like the ultimate Pinterest fail is me with a 100-pound tuna. Let's see what goes wrong.
It's not a pinata, Jeff Solomon.
Damn it.
Yeah. I mean, I have a picture of me like with the 100-pound tuna on my lap, trying to look all like sexual, kind of Marco Pira white kind of thing going on. And I put it on Instagram, and you know, for the most part, everybody liked it. And then there's this one girl that's like, "This is somebody's mother," and I think she thought I like trophy hunted it or something. There was like definitely like some blowback.
Oh my goodness. Okay, you want some blowback, and you want an idea, and you want experiences. I've got it for you, right?
Let's go, baby.
You lead them down to that weird dungeon you got going on, and instead of a suckling pig, it's just one big ass smoked whale testicle.
Oh! Yeah,
whipped
if I
cream,
can.
whipped cream, hatchet.
Wait, I'm on a delay.
No, you stole my idea, Solomon. I was thinking, no, you bring him into the building and you turn down the AC for forever and it's ice cold and you get Bjork to sing and then you come out and you do the smoked whale testicles like a steamship around.
You know, that was my whole plan while I was stuck in Bay Area traffic while I literally it took me 40 minutes to get 3 blocks down the street to see where I came out of AT&T Park at the end of this Giants game I just came from. In that time, I said, you know what? I know I'm going to be late, but I hope I can poach the smoked whale testicle bit from them. That's all I wanted.
This reminds me of, if you guys remember, like the old Stefan SNL skit where he talks about the hottest nightclubs in New York. Like, this place has everything. It has smoked whale testicles. And you're like, what's that? No, it's not a whale testicle. It's a 300-pound Japanese midget that comes around and
Yeah, see, it's an idea show.
Awesome.
So, guys, any other questions, or does anybody want to tell Ryan how to do his job better?
I guess I was wondering this. Like, we can't get the full layout here, Ryan, but is that Jerry Garcia over your left shoulder?
Oh yeah, that's my 4x4 hand-painted Jerry Garcia painting my wife hates that hangs in our living room.
That's beautiful. That's awesome.
Yeah, when he was talking about hallucinogenic Roman grapes, I was like, oh, Jerry approved of that.
Yeah.
Yes, Mrs. Chef Ryan, the Jerry Garcia painting is awesome.
Artist I collaborate a lot with is Jason Oliva, and he painted this bad boy.
All right, so forkandsaber.com if anybody wants to learn more about the events or the pop-ups that are coming up. Social media, you're huge on social media. What are the best places to get a hold of you on the social media if people are like dying to follow your 100-pound tuna stories?
Just at Chef Ryan Smith on Instagram.
All right, that is the one. Awesome stuff on there. He shows the life we all wish we could live on Instagram. So go into it prepared to be jealous is all I'm going to say.
Yes, seriously.
It's what I live for. It's what keeps me going in the morning. I'm gonna get up and make somebody jealous. I'm not even lying.
All right, Jeff, anything else? John, anything else?
Yeah, now that you got the gin blossom stuck in my head. You know what I love about this show? Shitty music gets stuck in my head. Hey, jealousy.
I can
We can drive around the town. All right.
I freaking still have Nickelback stuck in my head.
All right.
All right.
No, it's been Creed for me all week.
Always trying to one up on the shitty music. Guys. All right.
Me higher.
All right, Jeff Ryan, is there anything we missed that you want to touch on before we move on with the show?
I mean, I think that's it. Obviously I do a lot of bespoke private client events. I don't know. There's a lot of people in the in the New York wine scene that might be listening to this. So if anybody ever wants to collaborate on a cool event and bring a food element into their beverage program, hit me up.
Absolutely, do it, New York, do it, New Yorkers, do it. All right, so Chef, we're gonna move on with the rest of the show. We hope you stick around for the chaos. I know it's only like midnight your time or something.
It's early for me.
Excellent. All right.
He's in the food biz. He's going to be up till 3:00 in the morning anyway.
I just switched over from wine to 3-year-old Willet, so I'm good.
All right.
There you go.
I'll put the whiskey out next too. I smell an after party coming on that may not be understandable by anybody. All right. So if Jeff Solomon has joined us and Chef Ryan has talked to us about 100-pound tunas, we got to move on. And we had that whole Kim Kardashian thing earlier that I'm still a little warped about. It must be time for Booze News. We discuss interesting, noteworthy, or sometimes we just get really mad at shit. So Jeff Solomon, hold on. Let me pull the soapbox out, and the floor is yours, sir.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. You want to get me fired up? I miss Grape Hop or Pop Culture Reference.
You did.
Hey, Doc,
Motherfucker.
I need some penicillin. I think I've got some Forastera.
Oh my God. All right. Let's get angry. Let's get mad. Let's get mean. Ryan, natural wine. How do you feel about it?
Well, when I want to drink a wine that has absolutely no varietal distinction, that could be made in a prison toilet or in an amphora clay pot in the, east end of France, that's what I turn to.
All right. I think that's a pretty good start here.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's unfair, but, I know where this is going. And, obviously, I like natural wine. Many of the wines I drink are indeed natural wines, although they don't declare it, right? They're just high quality wines that are made the same way they've been made for hundreds of years. But I think what you're referring to is something a little bit different. Oh,
certainly. But I'm just saying, like, I think anybody who's listened to this show long enough knows that, in general, all things being equal, I'm a big fan of very like minimalistic, like pre-industrial approaches to winemaking. I'm a big fan of not overdoing it on sulfites. I'm a big fan of dry farmed sustainability. I'm a big fan of all that stuff. I totally am, right? But what if I told you that there was some garbage company on the internet pitching natural wine, not by going on wine shows, but by going on, I looked this company up. They're called Dry Farm Wines, and I hate that name because I love when folks do dry farm when they're able to. Like, I'm a big fan of that. These guys are called dryfarmwines.com. And I listened to podcast after podcast for the last 3 days of straight up bullshit. I read a great thesis a while back called On Bullshit, and I think it's important to distinguish this, right? Like, a person who is bullshitting, sometimes they're lying, sometimes they're not, but the big thing is they don't give a fuck if they're telling you the truth or not. What they want to do is just get you to believe whatever they're selling, right? So here's this guy doing dry farm wines. It's basically he's curating natural wines, but he's pitching them to the health food community. Specifically, he's pitching this stuff to folks on the ketogenic diet. Let me just read one of many pitches from these guys. Enjoy a glass of wine without worrying about messing up your diet. Join the only organic wine club in the world. No hangovers, no headaches. And
That's where I take a little bit. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, certainly. The first thing
you get me fired up.
I get super fired up. The first thing I'm thinking is like, first of all, motherfucker, like, again, I like natural wines and they can be beautiful and sometimes they can suck, right? Just like any other wine. But I get really kind of pissed off. It's like whenever you agree with somebody politically, but their rationale for why they think the way that they do totally misrepresents what you think. This dude is pitching these things as, first of all, giving no hangovers because they're lower alcohol wines that range between 10 and 12.5%. Let me ask you something, John. You drink a lot of Russian Imperial stouts.
Yeah, I do.
Is it impossible to get a hangover for a wine that is 10 to 12.5%?
No, it is not impossible because I've had plenty of hangovers from 4.8% beer.
Yeah. You know, I'm actually thinking about the wine that I made in my pantry, John, that was a Session Merlot that was 11%, right?
Yeah.
God had a bit of a hangover from that one.
Yes, I sure did. Was it? It must have been from the residual sugar that was still in it. What do you think, Solomon?
It must. Okay, so here's the thing. Here's their list of like why you should buy dry farm wines according to them, right? They do an analysis of every single wine that they sell to ensure that it's sugar-free, less than 1 gram per liter of sugar, and we'll get back to that in a second. Low sulfites, less than 75 parts per million. Low alcohol, less than 12.5. Mycotoxin or mold-free, no additives, dry farmed, old vines, hand harvested, wild native yeast, small production, gluten-free wine, ladies and gentlemen. Paleo-friendly, keto-friendly, low-carb friendly, mouth-wateringly delicious, naturally or biodynamically farmed. God damn it. You know, we're fans of biodynamic farming here, but we're not fans of folks being fucking liars. And I'm watching video after video of these guys. There's all these different, like, not wine experts that they talk to, but health experts that they talk to. And this one guy goes, yeah, man, I think the thing that really turned me on was I used to be into like really big Napa cabs, but I would always wake up with a big hangover the next day. And if you think about it, those bottles have like what, 200 grams of sugar in the bottle. And I'm like, no, you're fucking lying. You're lying. This dude is like totally baseless, totally off, right? Like, ladies and gentlemen, if you are on the keto diet, God bless you. If you're on the keto diet and you're afraid of getting kicked out of ketosis, a dry wine, whether it's from these guys or whether it's from anywhere else, is going to be, you know, anywhere from 0.2 grams per liter up to like 3 grams per liter. There's no difference in terms of sugar content that you're getting here. Like, that's not a thing, right? And certainly I'm a fan of natural wines, but it's not like all of a sudden, and they've got like all these claims like, oh, these wines give you a cleaner buzz. A cleaner buzz.
That was my favorite part.
Oh my God. You know, Jeff, I haven't heard from you in a while about this. I want to hear what you have to think, and I want to go find their little cleaner buzz comment because that was just nuts.
This is just, I mean, I think we were talking about earlier. I mean, this is like, if this was to be a television ad, it would be on Saturday afternoon at 1 p.m. because it would be based between the spray glue and the clean your tile with the spray of a can. Like,
What? No, I want you to be able to fix the bottom of a boat with this stuff.
yeah,
and
I'm
not worry about sinking.
gonna put my door.
Don't you talk shit about Flex Seal. I love Flex Seal. I built a wall in my house out of fucking Flex Seal.
Yeah, man. I built a surf with Flex Seal.
It's at noon, Flex Seal. At 12:30, Dry Farm Wines. 1 p.m., OxyClean. That's your afternoon info postal. Is how this site is built out. It hits all the SEO. I mean, this is like an SEO gold mine. Old Vines. Like, honestly, what does Old Vines have to do for anything with having a healthier glass of wine? Nothing.
Yeah, I mean, if you unpack some of this shit, I mean, that's the problem, right? It's like some of it is sensible. Like, a lot of it is sensible. You know, like, you want to drink this, like, on their website, right? Old growth wines, 35 to 100 years old. Well, that's a wide range, obviously. Yeah, like the percentage of vines in a given region that's 35 to 50 years old versus 50 to 100 years old is wildly different. That aside, you want to drink older vines, hand harvested. Okay, machine harvesting doesn't really affect. Okay, what causes hangovers, right, is alcohol and congeners, right? Congeners are byproducts of fermentation. And I did see on their website that they say we only use old barrels, but is this like form or function, right? Like, so, God, there's so many things here. Like, the amount of sugar left over after fermentation in a wine that's 12.5, for it still to be less than 1 gram of alcohol, you're in a very small region of the world where this is possible, right? Because if you look at something like a grape like Zinfandel, right, that has a potential alcohol of 16%. So obviously, if you only ferment it to 12.5, there's going to be a lot of residual sugar left over. So they pigeonholed themselves to areas of like Eastern France, right? You see a lot of stuff from Jura and stuff on here. And honestly, looking at their Instagram, besides it being a lot of pictures of hands holding soil and stuff like that, you can see some of the wines that they're offering, and some of the producers are real deal producers. Like some of these there are real deal wines, and you're a wine producer. Somebody approaches you with a wine club. You wanna sell your wine any way possible. That's fine. I mean, this reeks of angel investment money, and God knows who the parent company is to this.
I looked and looked and looked and searched to try to find who the parent company of this was, and I could not find it.
I mean, just because they have the testimonials from some serious, you've got like Rob Wolf and Dave Asbury and Chris Kresser. I mean, like these are serious kind of online health people, with a lot of clout. So they're not just throwing their name behind anything, right? I'm sure there has to be some kind of larger parent company at work here. And the thing with the hangovers, right? Well, like obviously, there's so many things we can talk about here, but obviously sulfites, right? We all know there's more sulfites in one dried apricot than there is in an entire bottle of wine. There's more sulfites in a glass of orange juice than is in a case of wine. Sulfites don't cause hangovers, right? They've been used since the Roman Empire, when ancient Romans used to burn sulfur candles inside the amphora clay to preserve the wine. That's fine. But again, alcohol is caused by alcohol and congeners, right? Alcohol, you're going to get no matter what, whether it be your 4% beer, you just have to drink more of it, or congeners caused by byproducts of fermentation. So if you're aging wine in an oak barrel, right, obviously some of those congeners are leaching out of the barrel. The cleanest thing you could drink if you don't want to get a hangover is high quality tequila blanco, right? There are organic wines that I love to drink that give you a ridiculous hangover because they're made in some barn with a bunch of dirty fermentation that adds a bunch of delicious flavors that I like to drink, but ends up giving you an earth-shattering fucking asteroid to the Yucatan style hangover because there's some dirty fermentation going on because it's made the same way they made wine 1,000 years ago. So there's again, like the wines that they're selling, I can't really talk shit about because a lot of them do look like quality wines, and you guys are saying the same thing. But it's the method, it's the delivery that's going on here. I mean, the same way that most of the people, I'd say 50% of the people on the keto diet have no idea what a ketone is, right? They're just like, oh, I hear people are on the keto diet, right? Like, if you're on the keto diet, you can take exogenous ketones, which keep you in ketosis. I mean, you can't even eat fucking salad on the ketone diet. I don't know. If you're on the ketone diet and you really care about it, why are you drinking wine? That's the bigger problem.
Yeah, it's so weird, and Ryan, I think you're hitting a lot of things I'm thinking about. Where, like, again, these are, for all intents and purposes, nice wines, but they're being sold in this really sleazy way.
It's disingenuous.
I was seeing a lot of. I just started going down like the rabbit hole of like the comment section, and once you like or comment on one thing, like that's all I see now. And I was seeing a lot of people say like, "Oh, well, this stuff's too expensive. You should do."
Oh, dude,
FitVine. They were saying, but at least FitVine. That's like engineered to lower alcohol and remove sulfites, and it's not the same thing, and that just looks like garbage right there. So I will say that I just think it's fuck, man. I don't want companies lying to people and giving them like false impressions of what wine is about. You know what I mean? Like, it's just,
I agree.
It pisses me off so much. I'm
it has
angry.
It has no sulfites and relatively low alcohol? A shot of vodka in a glass of soda water. Like, if you're on some kind of an insane diet and you want to get drunk, well, you can't even get drunk. If you want to enjoy an alcoholic beverage, that's where I would point you.
Yeah, agreed. All right, anything else, Jeff? Or is your thought?
Is your
I'm
blood
sorry.
pressure back down yet?
All I gotta say is, F you, Dry Farm Wines. Now I gotta find a way for you to not show up in my feed anymore. I'll figure it out.
Dude, the minute I Googled it, now I'm in my Facebook feed, on Instagram, like, it's just nothing but ads for it. I mean, at least I came on this podcast, so in the future, if I'm ever approached by them for a lucrative partnership, I won't have to spend any time deciding because it's not going to happen anymore.
Yeah, we crushed your hosted dreams, Brian. Sorry about that.
Things we're good at. All right. Well done, guys. Okay. So time to move on. Look at the time. Holy crap. Chef Ryan likes to talk. That's all I'm going to say. If we're running this long, it must be.
Last call.
Time to clean house and lock the doors. You know what we do here, folks? We try to get you guys to help us out wherever we can and let you know where you can find us. So, who are we going to go with? John Ruyak.
Yeah.
Our listeners are dying to find out what's going on the socials with us. What's the best way they can find us?
Well, it's all kinds of we like drinking stuff. I mean, we like drinking. We like drinking one. There's we like drinking the tavern on Facebook. So you catch us on Instagram, you catch us on Facebook, you catch us on Twitter, all that stuff. We're all over the place.
You said all the right words, but you never put them like in the proper spot.
On Twitter, it's We Like Drinking One. Everywhere else, it's We Like Drinking.
Yeah.
Well, but this isn't the first time people listen to the podcast. Or is it? Sorry.
All right, and Jeff Ryan Smith on Instagram, correct?
True story.
That is the best place to go, and you need to go follow it straight away. Jeff Solomon.
Yeah.
If we have 10,000 listeners who are all subscribers to Natural or Dry Farm Wine Wine Club, where should they go to tell us what they think about your latest rant?
Yeah, well, I think the best thing you should do, because if you're angry at us right now because we like disrespected your favorite bullshit sales pitch of all time, hey man, come see me in your favorite podcasting app. Give us a 5-star review, a 5-star rating, an honest review, and then we'll pick a place to go like fight. I'll punch you. I mean, if you really want.
And if you're already gonna buy a membership to Dry Farm, you should go up to the upper right hand corner and just type in "We Like Drinking" to let them know where you came from.
And if they want to Dry Farm Wine event through Fork and Saber, they could do that as well, right?
Exactly.
And then if that's not enough, folks, you're like, okay, I've followed them on the socials. I like everything they do. I've followed Chef Ryan. I like everything he does. I've left a glowing 5-star review and let them know what I think about the show, and I need to do more. Well, then there's our patron program where you can be a part of the show and give us money. It's awesome. So you can give us as little as $1 a month. You get bonus episodes. The after part, like honestly, we can just get rid of everything else we give away because the after party is worth everything. For $1 a month, you get our monthly. I'm going to put that in air quotes because it's really just whatever the hell we feel like it. Bonus episodes. You can get t-shirts. You can get coffee mugs. You get stickers. You get a say in the show. You get to help determine what we drink. You can tell us what to drink. All kinds of stuff that you can get access to us off the show. Vine type stuff that happens. All kinds of stuff. Visit welikedrinking.com/pledge to find out more.
Yeah, it'd be like mystery music video theater 5,000.
I still don't.
Where we tear apart music videos.
I still don't know if I'm going to release that one. All right, so moving on. Oh no, it's not. That's a lot of information we gave you. So now it's time for a little bit we like to call. Wait, who subscribed? Where I give these guys a quote from someone fictional or non-fictional, and they try to guess what it's from. And it's 99% of the time a movie quote. All right, so just because sometimes I forget to mention it, Chef Ryan, a lot of the times I curate what I use here to relate back to our guest somehow. Chef Ryan Smith. Here we go. I just want you to know I was married before this. What's her name and social security number? No, you're not going to kill her. All right, so there it is. There's the quote. Now you guys have to try and guess what that's from.
I got it, I think. Yeah, I got it.
Of course you do. Well, then we're just going to go right to you, Jeff Solomon, because John Ruyak had to carry the show.
A teenage werewolf in London.
I think there was a movie starring your two favorite rosé producers, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. It was called Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Okay.
Is that it?
That may be it. Does anybody have any other guesses?
I'm probably wrong.
Chef Ryan Smith.
I mean, is it some obscure 80s porn? I'm trying to put the pieces together.
We haven't done that in a couple of weeks.
Okay. Okay. What I want to know is how you think that some 80s porn relates back to you.
Yeah. I was in the 80s movie Honey, I Blew Everybody.
All right. Thankfully, Chef Ryan is not correct. Jeff, you are correct. It was Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Well done. I'm gonna search for what Chef Ryan was talking about. This episode, all links of the stories or mentions we had at welikedrinking.com/podcast. I told you guys it was going to be a fun one, and it definitely was. But it's the time of the show where I get to say, okay, panel, let's take one last trip around this table and get some final thoughts before we shut off the lights. John Ruyak.
Well, I had that dream where Jimmy Page was going to call me back, and he never has. No, he just hasn't, and I'm really disappointed about it. But I'm thinking now that we've talked about her, that maybe Bjork will give me a call.
Okay, as long as I never have to hear the Jimmy Page dream again, I'm fine with that. Jeff Solomon.
There has to be a way for you to travel 3 city blocks in less than 40 minutes. There has to be a way.
You could walk.
Your feet?
Yeah, but then I got another, 60 miles to go after that.
Oh, Chef Ryan, any final thoughts before we close this GOG show down?
Yeah, I mean, I just saw that Uber released this thing now where if I have an emergency inside the Uber, I can instantly dial 911. Where how unsafe am I in an Uber? I never worried about it before, but now it's deeply unsettling.
And how technologically advanced were Ubers that they blocked your cell from one in the first place? I don't know. That's some impressive tech. Chef Ryan, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us on the show and tell us all about Fork and Spoon and your Instagram account. And it was a lot of fun, and I really appreciate you taking the time to answer the questions. It was great.
Thank you, guys. Great to meet you.
And, we do this thing kind of, sort of. Question of the show, question for the week. So, we talked a lot about, I'm just going to go straight to it. Who's signing up for Dry Farm Wines after a review? Screenshot us your welcome letter. And with that, I'll say thanks again for joining us at the We Like Drinking podcast.
Where we'll never drink alone.
Jeez.
What have we done? What have we done?
There's no clue.
The same thing we do every week. Try.